the covers gigs is great because it gives you so much to learn and it gives you so much opportunity to just grow as a performer. And then I think stepping into your first sort of period of artistry, which I do believe I'm still there, but I think, you know, I've grown a bit in that space now. But it definitely comes with its own set of challenges.
What's good, lovely people? Welcome to another episode of Den Devine Sessions. This is recorded live from Den Devine, a music venue right here in Broadbeach, Gold Coast, Australia. I'm your host, Joseph Brown, a musician, a creator, and a passionate advocate for all things music. With years of experience on the stage and behind the scenes, I'm here to bring you stories from the heart of the music industry. Whether you're an upcoming musician, a seasoned pro, or dedicated music fan, this podcast is for you. Let's get into the episode.
It's Den Devine Talk. Den Devine. Den Devine. Den Devine Talk.
This podcast is brought to you by Venue, rethinking live music. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Den Devine Sessions finale series, episode number 15. 15, it's been crazy as time. And we are here for the greatest outgoing. We're going to do a live audience. So we got a live audience here. Everyone make some noise. Amazing, amazing. And we talk about the music industry. That's the whole vibe of this podcast, is we like to go deep and we like to get detailed and really learn the journeys of people. And today I feel very lucky to be here with an amazing rising country artist. I shouldn't say rising because I feel like you're there a little bit, really, but we'll say rising for the viewers at home. But look, country artist Tyla Rodrigues. How are you, Tyla?
I'm great. Thank you for having me on the last podcast of this season. I'm really excited to be here.
Do we do high fives?
Absolutely, we can do a high five.
Nice. Welcome, welcome. How's things?
Good. Like I said, I'm very excited to be here because this is the first of this kind of thing I've ever done, podcast, and also with a live audience. So thank you everyone for coming along, and thank you everyone that's tuning in.
Yeah, thanks everyone. Make some noise again. Let's just make this nice and warm place. Yeah. Look, I'm like with you. This is my third episode live, so it's a strange thing because it's not like a TV show. It's a podcast, and you know, while people are here in the audience, they're streaming, but we've got to try and create a conversation that's also appealing to just someone listening, not just watching, right? So I appreciate the confidence in sort of stepping out the comfort zone, because I'm with you. It's a strange thing, but here we are.
And we're going to do it. We're going to have some fun.
Here we are. And what's been happening with you?
Oh, man, I'm in a really cool, just chatting before, period of writing and recording music at the moment. I've just recently gotten back into the studio for the first time after about 6 months, I'd say. So I released my debut EP last year, and obviously there's a big period of time prior to everything releasing that everything has to be ready to go and pretty much tied in a bow and sent off. So it feels like I haven't been in the studio forever. So it's really nice to be back in that creative space, really. I think I didn't realize how much I was missing it until I started really writing myself and getting into co-writes again, and then getting back into the studio and hearing that amazing process of a song going from an acoustic demo to a, you know, produced track. So I'm loving life at the moment.
Yeah, it's my favorite part of being a musician as well, is just that, developing something, right? Like it's storytelling, it's going from that intro all the way through to the end, and then just being able to create that and manifest it in music. So yeah, it's pretty awesome. Absolutely.
And I think after I released my EP, I went through a bit of a phase of writer's block, because I think the EP for me was such a, I guess, reflective time, such a, I guess, pour my heart out time. And then I think I got the EP out and it was kind of like, oh, okay, that's cool. Everything's out on the table now.
Yeah.
And it took a little while for me to get back into, I think the best piece of advice that I ever received from another artist was you have to live a life to be able to write about a life.
Yeah.
And so then it went back to, okay, cool, that was a lot of hard work, and it was like 6 months of head down, bum up, like I said, in the studio and doing the admin work and the whole release thing. And so, yeah, just getting back into life again. And now, like I said, getting back into writing. It's a really nice feeling.
That's exciting. And, again, I just want to just throw it out there. Like we are going to get into so many great topics tonight, and I hopefully not bore the audience. But
hopefully, that is the plan. I want you all to know
I've
that.
been proven wrong that people actually love hearing about the music industry, which I think is a really interesting industry as an industry, because you got this one passion side, which is something that you can't imagine when you're starting off. Like, I'm going to make this a job. It's so strange.
It is. That was, if we're starting at the beginning now, when gigging and really the idea of becoming a musician, that only started for me like late high school. Like I always loved to sing, and singing and music as a whole was always a big part of my life. My dad, is still a musician, and so that's always been something that's been a big part of my life, but I never considered pursuing it. I think I was chatting with someone just before. I was going into year 11 and 12 doing nursing, and I had every intention of going to uni and becoming a paramedic and doing that. So something way different. And being a musician and turning that into a job was never really on the cards for me. And it all started because my mum actually, really funny story, went to school one day, walked into school as normal, whatever, and I had gotten messages from people, and people coming up to me saying, I think you're on the radio this morning. Going, no, definitely, like I'd done nothing to get on the radio. It probably wasn't me. And like lots of people were saying it to me that I was like, I messaged, we got a family group chat, I said, everyone's telling me today that it was on the radio. Was anyone tuning in? Did anyone hear anything? And my mum replied, oh, yeah, I actually submitted a video for you for this competition through a radio station.
Thanks,
like,
Mum.
Yeah, thanks, Mum. Like months ago, and she'd forgotten about it. And so that video, basically, in a nutshell, this competition was, they called it the band that Brisbane built on 97.3. And they were basically trying to create a band with kids across Brisbane. And that is what really got the ball rolling for me. I was lucky enough to get into this band, and again, thanks to Mum, I'm here today because that's how it started rolling for me. So yeah, it's a funny world, and was something that I really had to change my mindset to go, okay, I just loved to sing because I loved to do it in the car, and I loved to do it in the shower, and I picked up the guitar in COVID and thought I wanted to start playing that. And then to have this whole big machine that is the music industry, and that is admin work and rehearsal and writing songs and, just singing songs and getting gigs and all these things. So it is definitely a big machine, and a shift that you have to make in your mind to go, okay, this is now, as much as it is still my passion, it's now a job as well. And it's also that finding that happy medium of feeding the passion side, but also keeping on top of the business side was something that I think took a while for me too.
It's a big thing. I was talking to someone just outside, actually. I think it was Nathan. He's out there in the audience. And we were just talking about that just before, about, respecting the business aspect, because it's like when you want to make music an income, you have to respect the business. It's what it is. It's like a exchange. You're exchanging services for that fee, but it's hard for us because we're creative. Like, our brain doesn't really function. I guess that's why we have managers. And does your mum manage you? Or
Yes, she does. Yep.
Mums, managers and mums.
Yes.
To sit there and do all of that work, and but for you as an artist, you've still got to navigate this industry on where you want to be and where you want to position yourself. And I've got to ask straight off the bat, has it always been country music that has that always been your interest even before singing? Was country your thing?
Well, I'm not going to lie. I grew up listening to all kinds of music. Between my mum and my dad, I was listening to everything from Whitney Houston to Biggie to Keith Urban to, Cyndi
You just dropped
Lauper.
Biggie in there?
Yes.
Like Notorious Big?
Yes.
You're like Whitney, Biggie, Keith Urban.
Yeah.
Great.
Yes. No, exactly.
Gotta love some
Very
Biggie.
well-rounded child.
Yeah.
And it wasn't the clean version I was listening to either.
Yeah.
It was.
Yeah.
It was.
Yeah. White Girl Drunk. booty on the ground.
Yep.
Yeah.
Exactly right.
If you know, you know. If you don't know, now you know.
Now you know. But
You
yes.
can't finish that, by the way.
No, we're keeping this one clean.
Yeah.
Yes. But yeah, so I was listening to a wide range of music and I love to sing it all. But I think what really made me, I guess, fall back into the love of country music was actually moving to Queensland. So I was born and raised in Melbourne, Victoria. And back in 2019, just at the start of all the COVID dramas, we moved up to Queensland and we made the move. And I think I couldn't tell you actually what drew me back in. I just feel like country music here at the time was definitely a big scene. And it was one that once I started getting involved in, I was like, I love every part of this. I love the songwriting aspect. I love the performance aspect. I've always had an appreciation for the style of country music and that traditional country music in particular. And yeah, Queensland and the industry up here and how tight-knit and supportive and welcoming they are. That's really what, I guess, drew me in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so how long have you been, I guess, in the music industry as an artist in the industry?
I think it's 3 going on about 4 years now,
4
I'd
years?
say. When I first started gigging, I think I maybe did a year and a bit, I think, worth of gigging.
Yeah.
And then from that, I, like I said, was able to be like welcomed into the community. I did my first Tamworth Country Music Festival, I think the year after COVID sort of settled down, because I did it in April, I believe.
Yeah.
And when I went to that festival, it just opened my eyes to the fact that I can write a song and there's actually no right or wrong to it. I can just sit down in my bedroom and write a song. And that was the first, my first sort of real experience with that. And the first song that I ever wrote, I actually released, which I look back on and I go, why in the hell would you do that? But I'm still very proud of that song. And
What's the song?
All She Is.
Is it released?
Yeah, it's released on all
Who has
streaming
listened to All
platforms.
She Is?
I think maybe a couple
No?
of family, yeah.
Yeah.
So they were my family, always my
family.
soundboard.
Yeah.
And so from there, writing was a big part of everything. So I still love doing my covers gigs and just performing as a whole, but definitely songwriting was another big aspect of it that I really, really learned to love. And from there on, I think, like I said, probably about a year and a half was my stint of just performing as, Tyla Rodrigues, but I hadn't released anything yet.
Yeah.
Then I released All She Is, and that was kind of the beginning for me. And I was like, this is cool. And, I did my first run of like headline shows last year as a launch for my EP. And that was probably, obviously the first time where I sat up there and I played and I knew, wow, everyone that is here for me and my music, which blew me away. Like,
Yeah.
it really blew me away. And then, there was moments in that tour, whether I was in Brisbane, Melbourne, or Sydney, where there were people in the crowd, like, and a big portion of them too, like singing All She Is or singing some of my first sort of songs that I released. And that was a real moment for me where I was like, wow, hey, this is pretty cool. Like the little song that I wrote in my bedroom and, people
What's
enjoyed
it
it
about?
enough. All She Is?
Yeah.
Oh, All She Is was, I think I wrote that as an angry teenager. I think I did. Angry teenager in the sense that I think it was just, I was at a period where there was people in my life that I think were still treating me as if I was that 10-year-old that they last knew. And then, I had a few more years under my belt. And so that song was kind of all about growing into the person that I was at the time. And I still look back and I still see a lot of similarities between me and that girl, which is cool, but I also see a lot of growth. And that was, I guess, also the real, I think, driving factor behind my EP, Upon Reflection, is because for me, songwriting has always come from a place, whether it's me or something that I've experienced or something that I've experienced with someone else. And so, yeah, that's kind of, I guess, been my songwriting journey up to this point.
Yeah. And did you go through that like covers period?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah?
Absolutely.
Talk
I
me
need
through
even
that. Like, so take me back. All right. So you've got this idea that you want to definitely do music. You're definitely feeling, I want to give this a go. What was the moments like from, I guess we'll start with the seed of encouragement from your family or like, obviously we know that it was your mum going, hey, I'm going to throw that up there.
Yep.
From that moment, did you do any busking or did you do any like, how did it go there in your early stages before hitting those bigger stages?
Yeah. So, I guess because of my mum throwing my hat in the ring, that sort of, I guess for me was a very important and lucky leg up, you could say, because I was pretty blessed to start in an environment that was already taught me a lot about media and then the machine that was the music industry and the business side of things. So we did all the media training with the radio station and we got thrown into doing some really great gigs straight off the bat. So we got to play for a full room at the Triffid. We got to play in Queen Street Mall in Brisbane too. So we had like great gigs right off the bat. We were cushioned.
How did you handle this?
I was like, this is great.
Did you just like dive in and just ride the wave?
Absolutely. I think at the start there was definitely some nervousness because it was a lot.
Yeah.
But I was fortunate enough to be used a lot because I can have a chat and I can talk. If I'm good at anything, it's talking. So they'd always put me up for all the, I guess, the media things and to talk on stage and stuff like that too. And yeah, I really loved it. I really loved being part of a band. I really loved being able to perform to an audience, and it taught me a lot. And from there, the radio station sort of next step was to hand the band over to a booking agent, which they did, which was really cool. But I guess just like Married at First Sight or anything like that, it's hard when you have a group of people that have just met and to make them all gel and stick into a band because, as you would know, band chemistry is very important.
Bands, it's like being married to multiple people.
Yes, exactly right. And so
it's legit. Anyone out there, it's legit.
One relationship is hard enough.
I know.
So at the time, you know, we all had different genres that we were chasing and different dreams we were after. So the band didn't work at that time, and we're all very young too. But this specific booking agent had approached me out and was like, "Hey, I've heard a video of you singing country." Yeah, I really love country music because at the time in the band we were singing like a lot of pop stuff. Mm-hmm. And so he's like, "We've actually got this tour," and it was Jade Holland and Jade Holland and Laura Frank who had their kind of tour across Queensland, and their support act wasn't able to do the gigs anymore. And so that was my first go at anything on my own. It was on this tour. We were going from country town to country town, and I was singing that one single song I wrote, like the only one I'd ever written, and a bunch of covers. And I would be lying to you if I said I loved it. I did. I will never, ever forget, because it's so funny to look back from where I am now, that I did that first ever gig on that first tour date, and I got off that stage and I went to my parents. I said, "I don't want to do this. I do not want to do this. I just want to go back to singing in my room. I don't like any part of this. I'm scared up there. People aren't listening to me." Like I was sure. And they're like, "Look, you kind of have to finish this tour. You kind of have to just get through it. And then if you don't want to after that and you're certain, you can step away, but we've got to." I was like, okay. So me and my guitarist at the time finished, I think it might have been 4 or 5 tour dates, I think possibly. And with every show that went on, like the mistakes and the strings breaking and all these scary things that happen to musicians in the beginning, and you're like, I don't know what to do. I can't play guitar. Someone fix his guitar. This is terrifying. I just hit a bum note. It all like by the end of the tour, I was like, that was so much fun. Let's do it again. After, you know, I had to overcome all those things. And so, yeah. And then from there, like as I got to the last tour and I look back and think it was a blessing that I had to stick it out because I was absolutely ready to just be done after that first show. But from there, yeah, then it sort of started. I was lucky enough to stay with that booking agent and he'd book me a bunch of pubs in the area. And I kept going as the duo thing and just putting my set list together. And actually the other day was going through my little set list app thing and had found my first set list for my first gigs. And I just remember scrolling through it going, ooh, I would have butchered that. Oh, that would have been terrible. That wouldn't have been very good. So glad that came out of the set. But it's that, yeah, definitely done a lot of growing over time. And covers gigs, I owe a lot of what I do as an original artist, performer now, to those covers gigs. And I'm so grateful that that's something, and I still do covers gigs now because every gig comes with a new challenge. Every gig comes with something new to learn. And I wholeheartedly do believe that I wouldn't be able to do what I do now as an artist if I didn't have old mate in the front row throwing beer at me, or, you know, the guy at the back screaming at me, or whatever the case may be. And so I'm very grateful for that journey. And like I said, still do it today and often have a lot of fun with it too.
Look, it's a major part of your development as an artist to go through those, you know, uncomfortable scenarios where you're sort of like, I guess your naivety gets broken of like, it's not all pretty. There's sort of these insecurities you got to go through. There's sort of these, like you said, old mate throwing beer. Stop doing that, would you?
Yeah.
Stop doing that beer.
Get your hand off the speaker.
Exactly.
Please move.
Yeah. And these sort of moments, they help you develop and they help you grow. And have you ever written a song about these moments yet?
No, I should actually. Do you want to co-write one after this?
Let's
maybe?
do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. Would anyone like to hear a song about these early moments?
Yep. And the drunk people in the front.
And the drunk people in the front?
All of that.
All of
These moments. That's good.
these moments. All right, let's
I thought you meant drunk
manager.
man.
We need a sort of
Can we get a
royalties out
notepad?
for.
We're taking cabs on this podcast.
But yeah, it's such a, it's like, that's what I love about this podcast. There's everyone we've had on here, and we've had like artists that have done big day outs, you know, and we've had artists that have, you know, just started a year in.
Yep.
And everyone's got such a unique journey. And what I love, there is a regular consistency across every guest we've had, which is that the cover scene develops you. And some people here, you know, if you're a music lover, which is great, you're gonna, maybe some of these things might not make so much sense, or they might, I don't know. But if you are a upcoming artist, or if you're a bedroom writer and you're going, I don't want to go and do covers, I want to just be originals, maybe like that's something to take from this podcast. This is your development time where you can just develop as an artist. And I was telling you before, I've been in a band for 10 years and it's been reggae funk. That's been my whole sort of thing that I loved. But me as an artist, I've changed. I'm like not that anymore. And that's like, to bring that up, it's that development process, how important it is. So yeah, thanks for that. That's a vulnerable moment to be put into, because you're really like tapping into those older memories of like, man, like I nearly gave up. And now look, there's no one throwing beer.
Yeah, thank you. Very respectful.
Not yet.
Keep handing out those gins. Maybe we might.
Wildflower gin.
Yes.
This is sponsored by. Well, I can say that. I always make a joke of that, but now I can. Thanks, Wildflower. You guys are legends.
Thank you very much.
How's everyone enjoying? I think this is their new one, so it's a good one.
Is,
Yeah. Some good feedback. Nice. There you go. But hey, tastes like, yeah, I know.
That's perfect. Probably what they were going for. It's right on the money.
But yeah, so it's great to be able to go through that development stage. Now, talk me into, you've come out of that like a new stage of your career. You're starting to like, you know, get into a bit more serious gigs. You're starting to put things together. Talk me through where your last sort of couple of years have been at after those sort of first few gigs.
Yeah, I think after I really started releasing music and I guess evolving into an artist outside of covers gigs and things like that, it definitely opened doors to a new level of creativity, which I loved. Making my EP last year is a process that I really, really, really enjoyed. And it's one that came with a lot of stress and a lot of, I guess hard work and also a lot of fear, because just as we were talking about before, I guess the covers gigs is great because it gives you so much to learn and it gives you so much opportunity to just grow as a performer. And then I think stepping into your first sort of period of artistry, which I do believe I'm still there, but I think, you know, I've grown a bit in that space now. But it definitely comes with its own set of challenges as an artist, as a creative, because when you're playing covers, you are hiding and you kind of get to just hide behind everyone else's songs. You just,
Great.
yeah.
There's some great songs.
Exactly right. And
Yeah.
I'd be so much more rich if they were mine. I did write them. But
Hey, I just want to cut in there. I think covers artists should be paid from those artists, because I reckon
yeah,
without us
I'm
singing
still
those songs,
promoting their songs.
we're
Exactly
promoting
right.
their songs. Like, come on, man.
Send you my bank details
I've
and
sung
I expect
Wonderwall
the
more than
royalties.
Oasis. Guaranteed.
And Daryl Braithwaite, horses. Yeah, I think so too.
Riding on their horse still.
But yeah, there's that space between you as an artist and that audience hiding behind that cover song you're singing.
comfort zone.
Yeah, and you get to pick a bunch of songs that reflect the music that you love, but it's not your art.
Yeah.
And so when I started the EP process, you know, there was so many things like, are people even going to like this song? You know, this isn't, and it's really easy to fall into the trap of, hey, this isn't what I'm hearing on the radio. This is what I wish I was hearing on the radio, but this isn't right now what I'm hearing on the radio. This isn't right now what I'm hearing in the top 100 charts and all those things. And obviously when you are writing any song, but especially a big body of work, my first body of work, yeah, it came with a lot of, is this my sound? Is this what I want to sound like? Is there someone out there that's going to want to listen to this song? And so I think the biggest thing that I've learned in this period of my artistry is that as long as it means something to me and it's honest, like it honestly means something to me, it's going to mean something to someone else. And I don't know why that is, but I have just realized that people really are attracted to honesty. And I think, you know, if I touch into what I love about music is the fact that it makes me feel something. And the reason it makes me feel something is because it felt like something to someone else and who was writing it. And so I think that's something that I've tried to carry with me throughout this time of writing my own stuff and releasing my own stuff. And I mean, for the most part, to me, it's paid off because, like I said, I did my first tour last year and there was at least one person in that crowd singing my songs. And to me, that's plenty because, you know, for the person that was going to give up on her first gig or the person that was going to go to uni to become a paramedic, like that's pretty special to me. And so I think I've learned a lot from that. You can lose yourself really easily, but you can also, I guess, really get in touch with yourself more than, you know, usual.
For sure. And what are your big takeaways on that journey that you've already had? Like, what's some of the big lessons let's say, what's a misconception that you thought was it going to be something, but it turned out nothing like what it was? What are some of those?
I think the biggest thing for me is, you know, you follow all your favorite artists on Instagram and Facebook and all those things or whatever. And you see their profile, you listen to their music and you just automatically think, yeah, that's them. That's the music they want to make. That's what they want to wear. That's what they want to do. But coming into this, especially the more recent period of artistry that I'm in, that's not actually always the case. And it's not always what you see is what they're wanting you to see. It's sometimes labels and radio and playlist pitches saying, hey, you know, you made this a little more this way, it would do better. Or if you change this lyric or change this part in the production, you might get a number one and all those type of things. And while I think absolutely there is there's space for all of those different versions of country music in general, I just think that's probably the biggest misconception that I made coming into this as an artist, where I just thought, hey, this is my music. I'm going to do what I want. I'm going to look how I want. I'm going to perform it how I want to. But yeah, if that's not really in that mold that is there at the time, often there's people saying, hey, you know, try this, or if you move a bit more this way, or shuffle this around, or do this a little differently. And I think, I guess, you know, you touched on any artists that are wanting to do this. If I had any advice for any of them, I guess I kind of wish I would have gotten some as well as I came up, is to just stick to your guns. Like if it's something that you love and something that you believe in, then that's what's going to shine through every time. And I think it is also very easy to spot when an artist isn't necessarily doing something that they want to do or aren't as passionate about something. And so that's something I've just tried to stick to.
Yeah, for sure. And one thing that comes up quite a lot in this conversation is some people have this ambition, like, to hit that number one spot, which is great. Everyone's a bit different, right? Some people in that are music lovers think that could be what it's all about, trying to be this big artist and sell stadiums, which of course sounds amazing. For yourself, like, was it always about the, I guess, achievements, or do you love music for the music?
Yeah. And that's a very interesting question, because I would be lying if I said that it was always, no, it's just the music for me, because it's very easy to get sucked into, like, you know, the numbers. And because, going back to what we were speaking about before, it is just as much a business as it is the creativeness and just the art. You know, it's this balance of, okay, I want to make this art and I want to release this music, but if this doesn't also move with it, then you kind of have you're making a lot of music, no one's really hearing it, then you're going back to playing covers gigs and you can't promote your own stuff as much. So it's a funny balance, and
Good point.
and really easy to get, like, I guess, drawn into, because, you know, when that balance is out of whack, then you're like, okay, I want to keep doing this creative part. How do I bring this back up? And then you can easily go, what's gonna get me that number one? What's gonna get people wanting to hear this music? How can I market it better? What TikToks am I having to make? And, you know, all those type of things. Yeah. And so, yeah, I'd be lying if I said that I don't get mixed up in it sometimes, but definitely, ultimately, that never comes with me into the writing room, and that never comes with me into the studio. Like, it's always a thought, a fleeting thought, but like I said, when I'm writing, it's, what do I want to write? How do I feel? What is this? What do I want this to sound like? What story do I want this to tell? When I'm in the studio, what sounds freaking cool and what sounds not so cool? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean.
Yeah.
I know exactly what you mean. And it's why, I think it's an interesting question as well, because everyone's just got that different thing. That's what I like to get out of this, is just the different perspectives on different topics. And this topic does come up a lot, where people, you know, they're trying to sort of keep up with the trends and the flows of the industry. And then some other people that is like, I just want to just keep writing music.
And
know?
I think
you made really good points. Really.
Yeah. Thank you.
I dig it.
No, I think I guess another thing to that is, just lost my train of thought. Where were we going?
I have no idea.
I have no idea either.
No.
Anyway, shall we carry on to the next one?
We were going. Where we were going was your intention with music.
Yes.
So if it's the intention to be on, trying to keep up with the number one, trying to keep radio present.
Yep.
Or if the journey of being a musician is enough. That was the question.
And I'm back on track. I might need to crack this open later to help me.
Yeah, do it.
But I think another thing to that is that when you are constantly trying to figure out what's next, and I think because the industry is so quick moving, the trends are so quick moving, and all these things, it's you'll set a goalpost, and as soon as you kick it, you're looking for your next goalpost.
Yeah.
And I think that's something that I've really had to figure out how to balance as well, because while it's important to stay ambitious and important to, continue to aim high, I've found also in my time of doing the artist thing that just as quickly as I get the chance to celebrate
Yeah.
kicking a goal, I'm like, my mind is already on the next thing of like, okay, what to do next. And then you let those kind of moments slip by. And I think that's another thing that I really had to pull myself up on when, getting sucked into that hole of, okay, what numbers do I need for this? And what do I need to make a number one song? It's kind of really grounding myself and going, okay, well, I just played main stage of Tamworth this year. That was really cool. And that's something.
Gratitude.
Yeah, that's something that, 2 years ago, I walked up to that stage and thought, I want to play that one day. And this year I did that. And taking a moment to go, okay, this is why I do it.
Yeah.
Not because I got a number one. Because for me, yes, a number one, of course, is a goal one day. It's awesome.
Yeah.
But I got to stand on that stage with 10,000 people listening to my songs. You know what I mean? And
exactly.
I think that's something as well that was a misconception too, how easy it is to just, you look at your favorite artist and holy moly, this guy just sold out that stadium and this girl just played a headline of this biggest festival. And it's like, well, I'm kicking my own goals. And then you need spending enough time really just being grateful for that.
Yeah, and like, so one of the big pillars of this conversation that we have is to educate people or maybe share some experiences on that journey. One thing that I noticed come up a lot before this all started off, we were talking about that you're heading over to the States, yeah? So that's exciting. And I've noticed that a lot of people have to head over to the States in order to maintain their career. This is another big topic. But you'll see some of these big artists from the States fill stadiums. So there's an audience for country.
Yeah.
It's just, why does it seem that you have to go over there when I feel like, look, we're going to touch some nerves here because I feel like audiences need to understand we've got so much amazing talent right here in Australia. We've had, obviously Austin Mackay on, we've had like Lily Grace on, we've had you on, and it's like every single person has had to go to the States in order to get that recognition in Australia. And for me, that's a strange concept because it's sort of like, well, they're here. They're here playing.
This is a good point you raise here. This is a great point you raise.
How do you guys all feel about that?
I've been asking myself the exact same question.
Yeah.
No, but I think maybe
it's okay as well. I want to support, like, of course, you've got to do the things, part of the business as well. As the States are sometimes like, it's almost like I don't know, it's a weird psychology. It's like, oh, this person's been in the United States of America. It's been in Nashville.
100%. And it's funny because we Australians go over there and I say competition, which sounds terrible, but you know what I mean? The population of country music artists and creatives trying to do the exact same thing we are over there is like quadruple. Like, it doesn't even weigh up to how many we've got in Australia. And so another point of that is it makes no sense to me that we've got such a small population here that we're struggling to support, so much so that we have to go over there and compete with the masses. The same thing we're doing over here.
Yeah.
And so I agree, and it's something I think I give a bit of grace to what is the Australian music scene, in the sense that I think country music is only just now really taking its toll on music industry as a whole.
As a contemporary genre.
Yes. Yeah. Like I think back now over the past couple of years, and we've now more than ever had some of the biggest global country music stars come over and sell out our stadiums and sell out, you know what I mean? And so I think
you could sell our stadium.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Maybe one day. Thank you. I'm going to be crying up here. No, thank you. But I think, I just feel like, and now that that's happening, it feels like mainstream radio is starting to go, hey, maybe this is what the people want.
Yeah.
And starting to play your Luke Combs and your Morgan Wallens and things like that. And I think to me, I agree with your question, but I think it is exciting because at least it's the start. Like I think, maybe they'll start with the big guys and, it's always so heartwarming when you go to these festivals. Like a few weekends ago, we had CMC Rocks, which is, I'm pretty sure possibly Australia's biggest country music festival.
Could be.
I think maybe.
Like next to Tamworth.
Yeah. I definitely.
It'd
I just
be
think.
definitely like. Did that
there?
Mintstock one continue? Or?
Yeah, I think they had to cancel it this year here because of the cyclone, but they did one in, is it Bendigo? I think it's Bendigo in Melbourne, in Victoria. But yeah, so hopefully, while at the moment, I do have the same question and think, you're playing country music, do you know how much of it is here? And I just want to go, listen to us all.
That's not like, and the point here is not to, you know, maybe it is a bit to kick the nest, but I don't know. But look, the point is not to like, you know, ride on a dead horse.
Yep.
Horses.
Right. All the horses.
That horse is still going. Look, it's not to just, you know, keep on going down that track. The point here is, I guess, what I want to say is one of the things for this podcast and for what we're trying to do here is to let people know that talent is right here. Like, get behind it now. Don't wait until Tyla's over in States. Like, it's here, same person. You're the same person as you're going to be in 10 years' time. When you do that, and you're going to develop as an artist, I get that part. But the idea is that I have these conversations with these old school rockers. Any old school rockers in here that just been around the industry since the 70s, 80s? Yeah?
I see one out the front,
over there.
yep.
There's a few around. Look, and that conversation comes up like this. I remember when AC/DC was playing in a venue down Sydney and everyone rocked up to support AC/DC. And what I've noticed is that like, maybe like we've got to get a little bit back that way where we've got to like come out and really show up like as an audience, as venues, as punters, you know?
Yep.
So it's not to like create controversy for the sake of controversy. It's just to let people know, like, get behind some of these artists, which I know people do. That's why you guys are here, of course. But it's like, let's do it as when you guys leave the podcast, like talk to other people about this and be like, it's people power.
Yeah, I agree. I think, I mean, in the scheme of things, I think I've been in the industry for a fairly small amount of time in comparison to a lot of my colleagues, if you will.
Of course.
But I think now at least the festival scenes and from a live music component, I think they're doing a good job at trying to start promoting that by, I know, Groundwater, Country Music Festival, CMC, Tamworth has always been a great advocate with the busking scene and things like that, but they're all trying to incorporate now like rising star stages, if you will. So that's like really promoting an opportunity for people that aren't necessarily in the industry yet or are starting out to be heard and be seen on a big festival scale. And I think that's something that I can really give a round of applause to for the festivals and really like giving a good shot at giving more people more opportunity to be heard and get their art out there too.
Yeah, for sure. Great points. Really, really good points there. How's everyone going tonight? Yeah? You guys all tuned in? Yeah, nice. That's the way. You haven't got your headphones on? It's nice and loud for you?
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah.
Or is it for another reason?
That's good. Hey, just another big thank you guys for coming out and, you know, it's a strange thing, right? We're just here talking and you guys are just listening. And it's like we're going to actually, after we get through this conversation, Tyla is going to perform. And it's going to be an amazing experience. We're trying to create this like sort of platform to promote the artist. And it's a different digital platform than what's there. So we're just trying to think a little bit different. So thank you guys for coming along.
Thank you for coming down.
And supporting. Yeah, absolutely fantastic. And how you going?
I'm doing great. I just want to say again, thank you for having me because I think it's really cool as an artist. We don't often get the chance to just do this and actually talk about everything that goes on. Like we sing a lot and we, you know, but it's really cool to have this chat. So thank you very much.
Yeah, no, it's, I love it. Like I'm all about it. I love the music industry. I love music. I talk about this with my mates anyway. So I'm like, oh, now we got cameras.
Yeah, and big lights.
And every now and then I'm like,
oh, there's people out there too.
There's people here. Oh, awkward. No.
Awkward.
No, but look, I do love it. I love it. I love this the whole concept of this. And I know it's like a really, you know, it's a really strange zone to be in. And also it's Monday. It's our first Monday thing. We're musos. We work all weekend.
Yeah.
So I got a bit of Monday-itis, but that's okay. So, but yeah, big thank you for coming through. But now let's get into you're now in this, we're 2025 right now. So what's been going on now?
Yeah, so this year has actually been a funny one. I feel like it's another period for me again. There's a lot more adjusting. I'm kind of pulling away from the cover scene just a little bit, which feels a little odd for me after kind of consistently doing it the past few years. But I'm really loving this period because, as we touched on earlier, I really am back into my creative zone, writing again, doing a lot of co-writes. Co-writing is something that's fairly new to me as well. I think it was last year or maybe the year before now, I did my first ever like songwriters retreat type deal. So in Brisbane, it's called the Songwriters Hub, and for 2 or 3 days, every day, a big group of country music artists would meet, and we would basically split off into different groups, and we'd have like hour-and-a-half sessions. There was 4 of them a day, and we would just smash out a bunch of songs every day. And that was my first introduction to actually co-writing. And at first I was terrified. Didn't say a thing. I was too nervous to put my thoughts into things. And also because songwriting was always so personal to me and what I was going through and how I felt, I found it really difficult to put myself into someone else's shoes or also be so vulnerable with other people, which is funny because you write a song that's incredibly vulnerable and you release it, and anyone in the world could listen to it and then feel it and hear those things you're talking about. But when you're sitting in front of someone and they're right there in the room listening to you, it's like, oh, I don't really want to tell you that. That's it's a bit close and personal to me. But
for sure,
it's a process that I've really come to love because you get so many different perspectives on one topic, and it's actually also really cool to take something that you're feeling into a writer's room or something you experienced and realize actually all of you have also experienced this in your own way. One of the songs in my EP, Upon Reflection, If Walls Could Talk, which I might possibly sing a little later, was the first song out of that retreat that I wrote for me. So everything else was for everyone else. And it was the last song right on the last day. And everyone was kind of feeling a bit tired after the 3 days. And no one really had any ideas left in them. And so I put one forward, and I was so nervous to do it because it was just about, I guess, how growing up can be a little hard. And it was about the move from Melbourne to Queensland and kind of trying to hold on to memories type thing. And I put it forward, and I thought it was going to be a bit niche, and I was a bit worried, and everyone kind of was like, yeah, I remember how that felt. Or, yeah, actually, I just went through the same thing like a couple months ago when I moved away from so-and-so. And so it was such a great experience, and it's a song I still hold very close to my heart. But so basically that was the start of co-writing for me, and this year I've done a lot of that. I'm still doing a lot of that, writing for myself, and I also have my first ever trips to the US this year. So I'm going to do that and tackle that beast and, play.
Which is exciting.
It is. It is very, very exciting. It's just, I guess, breaking down more barriers, I think, because the country music scene in particular feels so small here in Australia. I'm really excited for the opportunity to go and just experience how that big machine works and see, I guess, the caliber of the songwriters and the musicians and everything over there. And I'll even get to perform a little bit myself too, which is really, really exciting.
You have some gigs lined up?
Yeah,
Nice.
I do. So, I'm pumped. And so this year, like I said, is just tapping back into that creativeness. I have my goal to release my album next year. So I'm just writing as much as I can to start preparing for that next phase.
Yeah, that's so exciting. I'm like so happy that, you know, I know I said this whole thing going over the seas, but I understand as well, going overseas, you got to do it as well, because it's still a part of getting a broader reach of people, which is, you know, you got 200 million people or something like this, you know, over.
Yeah,
that whole area.
absolutely.
So there's a bigger pool of people to draw from, which is great.
Yeah, and I think for me too, it does come back to the whole like learning aspect of it too. I think personally, I think the sound and the I guess the musicians and the style of music that they're playing over there in the country realm is definitely very much in line with what I like to do too. So I'm definitely taking it as an experience and an opportunity to go and learn a lot too, and just take it all in. So I'm pumped.
Yeah. Well, let's make us. I want to ask you some nice fun questions.
Sure.
Because I think you should, lighten up the load a little bit. But like on your journey, what's your favorite place to that you find that you like to write music?
Ooh. I've written music in a few places, in the back of my car, my bedroom. I've done the whole like middle of the night, wake up with something in your head and have to do a dodgy voice memo. I think definitely my safest space though is in my room. I think it's just I shut the door. I'm in my own, my own mind and my own emotions, and I think that's probably my favorite spot.
Yeah. And what's your favorite style of country that you like to write, that you like to sing to people?
Ooh.
Like when I say style, I mean like, is it the lowly, sad songs? Is it the empowering songs? Is it the high energy songs? Like these sort of stuff like that you enjoy?
Ooh, that's a good question. I definitely love, like I absolutely love in a festival scene to have a big band and a high energy song and just get to, have so much fun with it, run around the stage and do that stuff. But I think my absolute favorite way to perform is settings like these. It's sitting down, getting to tell the story and just have an audience that wants to listen to the story behind the song as well. Because, I think as I've said probably a few times in this podcast now, is that, it's always a story for me and it's always something I was feeling. And so to get to explain that and kind of uncover that behind the song is probably my favorite thing to do. Last year on the first tour I ever did, we did like a campfire sessions, and it's probably going to go down as my favorite gig ever because we literally had the big band, steel, fiddle, and all the players, and then just a bunch of people on like blankets sitting on the grass and on some stands that you'd find on the bull ride and things like that, and a bunch of campfires, and I literally got to sit there and just sing my songs.
Wow.
I cried, I laughed, people danced. It was the best. So I think definitely, yeah, just any time where I get to sit down and talk through the songs and just
How was that? How did that come together?
How did it come together? So it was part of the EP launch sort of tour, and it was the one we did in Brisbane. And so I got to showcase, a bunch of new songs and chat through them. And it was Mummage's idea to kind of set it up that way.
Nice.
And it was
idea.
Yeah, it was the best. It was really the best because, like there just wasn't, it wasn't strictly be quiet and sit there and don't talk. But it was, people were invested and wanted to hear the stories, and people were hearing these songs for the first time. And I got to really, I guess, thank the people that have been on that journey with me too. And so it's really, really special night.
Yeah, nice. That's I've seen some stuff around. If it looks, was it videoed?
Yeah. We got a bunch of videos. So that's all on YouTube now.
It's on YouTube now.
Yes.
What's it under? Campfire Sessions.
Yes. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh man, I want to watch it.
Please do. Let me know what you think.
Yeah. It looks like such a cool setting, and that's another part of the industry is like creating those moments. And that sounds like an amazing moment.
Oh, it was. And you're exactly right. I think artistry doesn't just stop at the songs you create. It's creating those moments too. And, because once you've made the art, everyone listens to it, but it's, getting those moments to actually present it to your audience too. It was great.
For sure. Okay. And if you could sit down with a dead celebrity and ask any question,
Ooh.
Who would that be?
Ooh, that's a good one. Now I'm thinking in my head, who's dead and who's alive? I think, oh man. I feel like, I don't know, this is going to be really odd, but I think I would want it to be Elvis Presley.
Elvis?
I just got a lot of questions for that man.
What would you ask him?
I first of all, I want to know the true story because I watched the movie and I'm not convinced, truly. But I think I'd want to know what really went down. And he just seemed like a very lot to that man. And I also do love his music too. I love his songwriting. And so I think it'd be Elvis. Thank you very much. Yeah.
And you just asked him what his story is?
Yeah, I just want to know how he's. I'd want to know what the conversation we're having right now. That's what I want to know from Elvis. I think.
Yeah, that'll be. I think it's a good one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What about you? Actually,
Me?
now I want to know. Yeah.
It's always changed because people do ask me this. Everyone, and I do ask it because it's interesting.
Yeah.
It's. Oh, who would it be? Probably Beethoven.
Oh.
I don't know why.
Oh.
I have no idea why, but just to be like.
At least you know he is gone.
Beethoven.
Yeah.
Like, that's awesome. He probably didn't talk. Did he talk English? I don't know.
Is he French?
I don't know. He was deaf as well.
Do you know?
That'll be a horrible dinner. I shouldn't say that. It's nothing against deaf people. It's just that, I couldn't ask questions.
Well, yeah.
He might just walk off. I mean, like, Beethoven, come back. Like, yeah.
No, I know. Yeah, I know.
Yeah,
I know.
Yeah, sorry, I
Anyways.
forget there's people out there.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's just stick with Beethoven.
Yep.
Yeah, Beethoven it is.
All right.
Yeah, I don't know. He's a genius, like,
Yep. Absolutely.
So it would be Beethoven.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. Let's move on.
Yep.
Let's move on from this. Okay, where was I? Okay, bucket list collaboration.
Okay. I think the first person that comes to mind is Miranda Lambert. And I think the reason I love her so much, I also really love Lainey Wilson. And I think these two, and I just want to preface this by saying I actually, and this is funny because I am a female artist and I hope people would want to listen to my music as well. But I listen to a lot of male artists, especially male country. Like I don't know, I think it's just the tones and the things like that. I listen to a lot more male artists than I do female. But Miranda Lambert and Lainey Wilson really stand out to me most. And I think it's because throughout the course of their career and their, releasing of music, it's always felt as though they've done what they believe in and what they want. I feel like in the time that they were both in their peak, I was fairly young when Miranda Lambert was in her peak, but like weren't necessarily just following what was kind of going on in the music world, and they were very much trailblazers in their own right, and same as Lainey Wilson currently. And so I think either one of them I'd love to get in a room with, and I'd love to collaborate with, just because I definitely look up to both of them in that aspect, to always, just because you're doing something a little different doesn't mean you can't succeed and that your art can't shine as bright as someone else's. So yeah, I definitely admire them both for that.
Nice. And good picks as well. Mine was Leon Bridges or Tracy Chapman.
Yeah.
I think that'd be like, just to go to Tracy Chapman gig would be a bucket list gig.
Yep.
Would she ever play again? I don't know.
I'm not sure if she's still touring. Did you see Leon Bridges while he was here?
No.
I missed it too.
Yeah. You know what I was doing? Singing at a bar.
Did you have a drunk guy in the front row throwing beer at you?
Yeah, I did. I was like, I could have been at Leon Bridges, but instead I got to deal with this.
Have some gratitude.
Yeah. I love my gigs. I remember once I was playing at a gig in Miami.
Yep.
And in the reggae scene, there's a festival called One Love, which is the big reggae scene, which is the big festival. They get about 80,000 people.
Wow.
And I've got a couple of friends that play there. And I was at this venue and he called me up and he's like, hey man, I got some backstage passes. And I went, oh, I can't come. I've got to do this gig because I'm just too good to look after the venue. And I'm like, I could have just thrown this whole venue under the bus and went and pursued my dreams.
Sorry, I'm sick.
Yeah. Didn't. I sat there and sang and I saw all of his photos and he's like, you could have met all these people. And it was like, I think Shaggy was on the lineup and all these people. And, he played a couple of the headline bands and, oh, well.
I've had a few of those moments too. So much so, I went on this whole, do you know who Zach Bryan is?
Yeah.
Zach Bryan. So I went on this, here's the whole story for anyone that's not sure. Zach Bryan is I'm call him country music artist.
For sure.
He's coming to Australia for the first time ever, and he's only doing one show in Melbourne. And I went on this whole TikTok tangent. I was singing a song of his every single day, hoping that he would miraculously see it and just add another show because I was gigging on the day that he was coming. And same deal. I tried everything. I was like, so how morally wrong would it be if I pulled out? And Mama just said, very. I said, okay. So then I just kept going on my tangent and hoping and praying. So yes, I've had some of those.
Yeah.
too.
Look, and I think that's the journey of the artist as well, is you can't compromise your values along the way, because if you do, you don't want to get there and look in the mirror and go, who am I?
Yeah.
Where's that person that fell in love with music? I think that's my worst nightmare, is getting famous on losing all my morals on the way.
Absolutely.
Just, you know.
No, I do agree.
Eat away at you.
No, I agree. When I first started this as a business, as we spoke about at the start, it's that funny period of, business and music. And when that first started kicking in, I promised myself, if I ever got to a point, and you have your moments, like I've had plenty of gigs where I'm like, I don't want to deal with Mr. Drunk Man in the front row throwing beer at me tonight. But, if I ever got to a point where I really was like hating music, I would just get out, because I don't know what life would be like if I didn't love music, and if I didn't love picking up my guitar and having to play and writing songs and performing in front of people. So I think that's a very good point.
Yeah. Yeah. Maintain your integrity along the way. It's very important. And bucket list gig.
Ooh. Bucket list gig. I think it would have to be either the Grand Ole Opry or
Nice.
actually the Bluebird Cafe. And the reason being, in Nashville, they do like this songwriters night where, have you seen photos where they sit in a little circle and that everyone's sort of around them?
We were ambitious enough to contact the Bluebird to try and do a collaboration project. So yeah, we've been deep in the Bluebird. It's amazing.
Yeah. And so
they've got the shush policy, right?
Yeah. No speaking.
No speaking. Let
speaking.
the artist sing.
Yeah. So I just think probably those two would be absolutely bucket list for me.
Yeah. What comes up a lot is Red Rocks.
Oh, that's a beautiful venue.
I know. Yeah. That's come up, I think, 4 or 5 times.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's come up a lot. But it's Red Rocks Amphitheatre. Why wouldn't you?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
If so, they offered me, I'd play for them.
Yeah. And I think you might have already said this, but nightmare gig. What's the worst gig you've had?
Oh.
Come on. I feel like you already said it, but maybe you've had worse.
I feel like Tyne, my guitarist, is in here with me, and I just want to shout out real quick to the musicians that all the phases that we've spoken about today, the musicians that slum it out with these artists for like non-paying gigs. I think Tyne has had many things thrown at him. So quick shout out to all the musicians that stick with us through all these phases too. But I feel like I'd have to say it was one in Sydney. And I don't know, actually, this same, we were just talking about this story before. This was the same gig weekend where I got jammed in my hotel room with my backpack. Anyway, I'll get to that in a minute. But it was a gig where absolutely nobody wanted us there. They did not want country music, so much so that we would finish a set and they would put on like EDM music, like in between our
break music.
Country music, and they were putting EDM on between. And it was just like we had not one, but maybe 12 drunk men in the front row throwing beer. And we had collectively, I think we had terrible sound problems, and I broke like 3 strings. Tyne broke maybe all 6, not at once either. And yeah, it was just one of those gigs. I think the hardest part as a musician, the hardest gigs to get through is when you just know none of you want to hear me.
Yeah.
None of you care.
Yeah, and we still got 3 hours.
Yeah.
Time
and
to
I'm running
bust
out
out
of
the big
strings.
Riding on the horse. They'll suddenly want to hear you then.
Yeah, I think we got asked for Oasis a few times, all the things, and it was just one of those gigs. So I was like, no one wants us here, and so because of that, we finished the gig and had a few drinks, and like I said, we're all the way in Sydney, and the reason I haven't opened this can isn't because I don't want to try this gin, but it's because I'm incredibly lightwip. Like it doesn't.
Okay.
One sip,
we should open that way at the beginning.
This will be a different podcast.
This would be a whole different podcast.
But like one sip, and we would be talking a lot more about Beethoven.
All right, let's do that. I want to talk about Beethoven.
And I was sponsored by Jack Daniels, and we were drinking, getting them down. And we got back to the hotel, and we were down this long hallway, and Tyne was maybe 4 rooms down. I was here, had my backpack on, all my gear. I've dumped my guitar and everything in the room. Don't even know how I got back there. Came out of the room. Good night, Tyne. And the door, so like my backpack's loose, and the door has jammed my backpack in the room and me outside the room. And the backpack's still on my back.
No.
This sounds a lot like the Mean Fiddler. Is that true? Is it the Mean Fiddler? Is it? Yeah. I grew up in Sydney, so I know that venue.
Yeah, that's the one. Yeah.
You sure you don't want to crack that?
Yeah.
This might be time now.
Might be time. Anyway, so yeah, back to shouting out musicians, because Tyne did come and save me from the door that ate me. And all was fine. But that probably goes down as the most memorable gig.
Yeah?
Yes.
Do you want to hear mine?
Yes. Did you get jammed in a door too?
No. The most memorable gig that I had, I was playing at a venue called Ravens in Chevron. And I was in the middle of singing Don't Worry, Be Happy. Don't worry. And a guy had stolen some stuff and decided to hide out in my venue. And it was a full crowd audience. The police come barging in. They literally violently arrest him on the ground in front of me. And I'm going, don't worry, be happy. And I'm like, I can't believe this is freaking happening. And it was like, I'm talking like violent arrest, like 4 people. And I'm like going, has anyone else seen this? This is crazy. And this is saying, don't worry, be happy. This is the most. And he's looking at me and he's going, happy. And I'm like, don't worry, be happy, man. I don't know. That sticks with me.
I'm sure it sticks with him too.
Yeah. And I think a lot of people, everyone was there is this really happening? And I don't know.
And it's that awkward thing of not knowing whether to stop the song or keep it going. I had a similar, different, and I wasn't singing Don't Worry, Be Happy. But my first ever bar fight between 3 women, and it was full on, and it's that awkward feeling of do I keep going? Do I?
Yes, you do.
Yeah.
Yes, you do.
Just adds to the experience, really.
It does. It does. And if not, you turn it up a notch.
Yeah.
You just go, let's do this.
Absolutely.
Bar fight. You change the song. Back to horses.
Yeah.
I'm just riding that horse all night. But yeah, no, 100% you do. Because you know what? If you don't, I don't know, it just gets...
Awkward.
Yeah, awkward and weird. I'm like, just keep on singing.
Yeah.
Just work your way through it.
Absolutely.
Nice. And what's your peak gig?
I'd have to say, probably the campfire sessions we did last year.
Yeah,
it was the best vibe. It was all the emotions, and I think everyone else felt that they could go through those emotions with me too, which was cool. And I feel like you touched on this before, whether I prefer singing my sad songs or the up tempo. I think I absolutely I find it a lot easier to write sad songs. I'm a very happy person, but sometimes I always find something that's sad to write about. But I love writing those songs, but I also love performing. So my set kind of goes in an emotional roller coaster.
Yeah.
But yeah, they were right there with me riding that roller coaster too. And so I think it was absolutely, that one will go down in history for me.
Yeah. I've got this habit of this podcast where I just keep talking and talking and talking, and then I forget about the audience. So I don't know how long we've been going for. How long have we been going for, Dan?
Just hour and 10 minutes.
Oh man, hour and 10. How are you guys going? You guys enjoying this? Yeah?
We're good.
Nice.
We can go for another 2 hours.
You guys are good then. All right, where were we? Beethoven? Yeah. We're back on. So let's get into the symphonies. No, I'm not going to do that to you guys. Don't worry. Look, it's been I've really enjoyed this. We tried to do this a few times, but we haven't been able to do it. And I didn't actually prep anyone to do this, but we're going to just ask the audience, because I think it's really great that you've got all these beautiful people come out here to just watch us talk and watch you talk. And I think it's a great idea to try and get some questions from the audiences and see what people, if they've got any questions. Does anyone have any questions?
I've actually
Just
got one.
not about
I've got one
Beethoven.
from Instagram, actually.
Oh, you got one from Instagram?
Yeah. Who, I think it's already been answered, yeah. Who would you collab with if you had the chance? But you've already answered that one. Yeah, keep going from the audience. I know, actually, Tyne asked earlier, is your hat glued to your head?
We're not answering any Tyne questions, no. The hat is not glued to my head, but I will not be taking it off because it's a scary sight under there once it goes on.
Come on, I know Terry's got a question.
Sorry?
Say again?
Tyne 6-string. So I'm not sure. It was fate that brought us together, I think. No, I think when I started going out on my own after doing a lot more of the covers things and really finding my band and my own sort of sound, Tyne, I think I knew Tyne through some other musicians and another band, and we had met a few times, and actually, I think I had another guitarist playing that night and had pulled out last minute, and I messaged Tyne, I said, hey, what's the chances you could get here? And it was I think it was the day of, the morning of, and I said, do you even want a set list? And he was like, no, I'll figure it out. I was like, okay. And we haven't really been able to get pulled apart ever since. And yeah, he's my right-hand man. And actually, Tyne was really there through the thick of it. He was there when I had just started learning guitar. I didn't know a G chord from a C chord. And it was a lot. It was a lot. I now at least know a G chord from a C chord, just not a G from an F.
Do you know that the G's, the happy and the sad chords?
The minors and the... Yep, thank you. But yes, Tyne used that lingo for me too. This one's happy, this one's sad.
Yeah.
Yes, this Spanish chord.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's kind of how we met. The day we met, I threw him into the deep end, and I've been doing so ever since. But yeah, like I said, just huge shout out, because it very much is like a real... You go through seasons, I think. There's lots of steps up, but there's lots of also steps backwards and to the side. And so really grateful for Tyne and all the musicians that I've had the privilege of playing with up until this point, because they have also taught me a lot of what I know too. It's not just, I guess, performing to people. It's also learning, hey, how can we put a set together? How do we work together as a band? And so really appreciative of those musicians that have taught me a lot along the way too.
Nice.
I actually have a question. So we have musical cocktails here. They don't play music, but they're all named after musicians.
Uh-huh.
So if we were to name one the Tyla Rodrigues, what would be in that cocktail? I know you're a lightweight.
Whichever one has the least amount of alcohol.
This is it right here. The Tyla Rodrigues.
The water. Can I have some water? The Tyla Rodrigues? Sure. Keeps everyone safe. I can't say that I know enough about alcohol to tell you, but yes, definitely one with a small amount of alcohol for my lightweights.
Any other questions? This is your time. Yeah.
My Tamworth experience? Yep.
How did you find it?
Tamworth, as I mentioned earlier, was my first real, welcome into the country music scene. And I am really, really grateful for the way that they, I guess, accepted me in. I don't think I would have had as much confidence as I did coming into the scene and really tapping into myself as an artist if I didn't get there that year. From everyone was just open to talk. Everyone was open to offering advice. Everyone was, that year I got up with Bill Chambers at his showcase that he does at the pub. And it's Tamworth is such a town of opportunity during that festival because everyone is so open to it. And that's forever going to be, and up until my last Tamworth, my favorite part of that festival is it's not about, well, I got this really great slot and I'm going to do it myself. It's always about, hey, I've got this friend here. Someone's had the chance to come and watch. I'm going to get them up for a song. Or I've got this new artist opening. I found them on the street busking yesterday and I'm going to ask them to open my show today. And so I think that it's just such a supportive environment for anyone at any point, whether they're just starting out, whether they're the top of the industry. Everyone goes there with such a great attitude and willingness to help people grow, and also the audiences there. I think out of all of the festivals, the Tamworth Country Music Festival audience are some of the most loyal. I think they are. Yeah, they're the ones that will follow your music out of Tamworth. They will come to your shows the next time you're in town. And I think that's what I love most about Tamworth. And they'll forever, that festival will always have a big place in my heart.
Nice. Any other questions? Another one?
Oh, I can't say just yet, but I sure do hope to. Are you coming to Groundwater this year? Oh, well, I hope to see you there, my friend.
I've got another one from Instagram here.
Oh, another one from Instagram.
What advice would you give to an artist just starting out?
Ooh.
I usually ask that question.
No, that's a good one. I think if I could give any piece of advice to any artist starting out, it would be to just stay true to whatever you want to do. If you've got a story, then tell it. And if you've got a way you want to tell that story, tell it that way, and just don't stray from that. Whatever you want to look like, whatever you want to sound like, whatever you want to say, I think that's probably the biggest thing that I'd offer them.
Great advice. You gonna say something?
I've got another one.
Oh.
So where do you see yourself in 5 years?
Oh,
Great question.
this is a great question. In 5 years, I hope to have released an album or two maybe by then. I hope to be able to take my music across Australia, but also overseas. I'd love to be able to visit. I know Europe is really loving country music at the moment. There's a lot going on in the UK, obviously the US. I would love in 5 years to hopefully be, it doesn't have to be selling out stadiums, but I'd love to at least be able to jump across and do that. So that's my goal for the next 5 years.
Nice. Any more on there?
Not at the
No?
moment.
Any more out here? No. Oh, here's going to be a good one.
What was the last part? How much do I plan?
So the balance between trusting the journey and planning the journey. Is that yeah?
That's an interesting one. I feel like no matter how planned and prepped I feel like I am, it doesn't always feel like enough. And I think that is because it is so... Things just come out of nowhere. Like if I were to put myself back in the shoes of me 12 months ago, I think I would not have expected what came up for me in the past 12 months to have come up for me. I did my first ever international tour with an international artist. Dylan Gossett came in December of last year and he did his Australia-New Zealand tour, and I got to open his whole tour. And so, things like that, I think back and I go, I did not plan nor prep enough for any of those things to happen. And so I think, it is a funny balance. I think you can plan to a degree, and I think I tried to plan to a degree, but also I still don't know a lot of the time what the heck comes next or what I should do next or what, you know what I mean? I think, again, I always just end up coming back to my music and my art that I'm creating, and I hone in on that and then try my best to plan around it, so you write a song, you release a song, you go, hey, I want to either tour this song or, do something like that with this song. And I think that, to degrees what's planned, and then everything else comes in
Yeah.
and surprises me majority of the time. And and then I guess I go, well, I wasn't planned or prepared, but now I have to be, or I won't be. So yeah, I think it's a funny balancing act, that one, but yeah,
Nice.
try my best.
Well, Tyler, we have had such a great conversation. Actually, I can't believe it's been an hour. It feels not that long for me. And I've really enjoyed it. I've enjoyed going through your whole entire journey and, well, touching base on your entire journey. We definitely didn't dive into everything, I'm sure. But I just want to say I appreciate you coming out here. I appreciate all you guys as well. One more round of applause for just everyone. You know, and we want to bring these conversations, and we want to touch base with you after you come back from the States and get you back in here. And would you like to come back here again?
I
You
would
think
love
you'd like
that.
to do this?
I would.
Could you guys imagine coming back in a year and she's done a stadium and you get to come back into this audience? You know what? You guys get first invite straight back to this next one here. We're going to invite you guys again.
Absolutely.
I've really enjoyed it. I've really just loved all of the areas that we've gone into. I really appreciate you taking your time out on a Monday to come and talk shop. And we're going to play some, well, I'm not, but you're going to play some music. You're going to sing a few songs, Tiny Desk Vibes. So we're going to wrap this up now, and you guys can go and have yourself a toilet break and everything. We're going to reset the stage. Tyla Rodrigues, it's been an absolute pleasure.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. And thanks for having me on. Appreciate
Yeah,
it.
no
Thank you.
worries. See you guys next time. Thank you everyone out there for tuning in on social media and the YouTubes and everything like that. Appreciate you guys, because that's where we are. We're on all your Instagram followers.
Yes, thank you so much for tuning in.